Okay, so let's get concussion uncle-y.
Yeah.
I'm looking at this, and I'm thinking, no A.J. Brown. The offensive line's been blocking their butts off in the running game. Saquon looks awesome.
Shorten the game.
Let's just spam that, like, you know, and you know, maybe Devontae makes a play here or there, but let's sort of go 2021 second half of the season Eagles offense here.
I think that when you look at that, I think that's a fair way to go about it. Again, the Saints, so this under Dennis Allen, historically, this run defense has been awesome.
Yes.
And you think back to some of those early matchups when Dennis Allen was the defensive coordinator, he first got promoted to head coach, and the Eagles offense, you mentioned like 2021, 2020, Jalen Hurts first steps in.
Jalen Hurts' first start.
Yes, and they ran for 250 yards in that game. And then they go for the next year, and it was the same thing. Number one rushing attack versus the number one run defense, and the Eagles ran all over them. Do they go about that again? This season, their run defense numbers are outstanding. Yeah. But you went up against Carolina, and you went up against Dallas. Not exactly the most awe-inspiring run games. And again, in lopsided affairs. And so to me, like, yeah, go at this defense, see if they can stop you with the inside run, and just go right at them. And I said this on Tuesday, on Tuesday, the days are blurring now. I feel like the best version of this offense, the best iteration of the 2024 Philadelphia Eagles offense is a smash mouth downhill rushing attack that features Saquon, that features Jalen Hurts. I think that's the button you push early in this game. And honestly, like, keep that offense off the field the best you can.
Yeah. I mean, I feel that way.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily the DNA of like Kellen Moore's DNA or the team that they have built, or at least tried to build, but it's what they have right now. It seems like the best thing they have. I mean, you know, let's put Johnny Wilson on the field instead of Britton Covey and 11 personnel and run the ball that way.
I'm just really quickly, I think that we're starting to see a little bit of a sea change in the NFL too, in terms of who the best offenses are in football right now. If you look at it, like, pick a metric and you look at who the top offenses are, those teams are running the football at a really high rate, explosive runs, efficient runs.
Well, the NFL's cyclic, Fran.
It always comes back around, as our friend Marty Morningwig used to say. For the sickos that weren't aware of that one.
Yeah, I mean, you know, this is not necessarily how are the Eagles going to be the best team in football, but it's how are they going to win this game on Friday or on Sunday, I kind of think.
To me, like, that would be the way to do it. Now, the other way, especially without A.J. Brown, because look, this is a team, again, that likes to play a lot of man-to-man coverage. I love the way that their corners play. Their secondary. They're supposed to get Marshawn Lattimore back. Lattimore should be back. So
who does that push to the bench?
I think it pushes the rookie Kool-Aid McKinstry to the bench. McKinstry got the start last week. All of these DBs are tough, competitive, in-your-face, press man coverage. Like, that's the way they play. That's the way they scout. Those are the kind of guys they bring in. And so, you know, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, like, he fit that mentality of the way that they like to play. And so I think when you look at this offensive game plan from a pass game standpoint, like, if you had A.J. Brown, all right, you got A.J., you've got Devontae, now we can, like, play matchups. Without A.J. Brown on the field, now it's all right. Devontae Smith, he's probably going to see a lot of Marshawn Lattimore in this game. That would be my guess. You know, and so then it's going to be Paulson Adebo on Jahan Dotson. Like, I think New Orleans is starting to feel pretty good about those matchups in the pass game. So now it comes down to, do you have the play concepts? Are you going to run these mesh concepts and other man-beating plays to be able to just get somebody open from the play design, as opposed to just say, like, we need you to go win? I think in the game the other night, it wasn't as many like, oh, this was a really creative play design from the Eagles in this one. The the Falcons played a ton of zone coverage. Hey, you know, let's just lean on our guys to be able to create some separation here. I think in this one, you might have to get a little bit more creative with how you get those guys open.
I mean, that sounds an awful lot like the 2023 offense to me when you're describing last week, right?
It was not like the game wasn't there weren't plays in that game against the Falcons where I was like, oh, that's a fun design.
Yeah.
Whereas in week one, there were a bunch where I was like, oh, this is
but why not? They had extra time for that game.
Is it big?
Was it as simple as losing AJ late in the week?
That's the only thing I would point to.
So maybe that is the hope, is that
you had the full.
They were. I mean, it's still a short week this week, but they still get to fully put a game plan together. They were a little bit playing with their hands tied behind their back. They had already put the game plan in potentially.
Yeah.
And had to go back to some staple stuff.
If you want to be an optimist about it,
If you want to be an optimist about it, and now maybe Kellen gets to cook, knowing what he's dealing with, and maybe we will see some stuff schemed up for Dallas Goedert, getting him in space.
I think that's got to be a priority. Because when we talked about the inability to find for the football to find him at times where he's not the primary guy in the progression, he's not the second guy in the progression. I think back again to that 2022 version of the offense. Think of all the RPOs that went to Dallas Goedert. You know, a lot of like him in the flat, like, and they've got that in the playbook. We saw it this summer.
Yeah, why does the RPO game seem broken?
I feel like that can be a timing and rhythm thing with the RPOs. We've seen 3 ineligible downfield called this past week. I believe there was one in the Green Bay game, right? So we've seen a couple of those called. Look, I don't think that's going to go away. I think that's going to be a part of the offense, and it should be. I don't think that you want to be able to throw those out, but it certainly is a timing and rhythm thing right now that those guys have to be able to work out.
We all silly like the mayor.